What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday afternoon. Bobby Fi here with my man Sheets. Via I don't know, via we get to hear his voice. That's all we got. You guys have been asking for us to do a live video today. Well, we did one yesterday, and I nearly brought home all the money. So Sheets, what are we thinking today on this small slate? What are your thoughts overall? Is this live stream working? Can you all hear Sheets? Let's make sure that can work. Sheets, say something.
Test, yeah. Well, I'm talking in here, and it's funny. I'm looking at the YouTube on my other monitor, and I see what you said 15, 20 seconds ago. So
Yeah, it's gonna
I
take a
guess
minute. Sheets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's gonna take a minute.
Ken, can you hear me?
Who's Ken?
Kenneth Jones?
Oh, Ken, yeah. Bobby, yeah, he hears you, I think. We just said, can you hear Sheets? I think that right now, let's just focus on thoughts on the slate. I think that they can hear
Yeah,
you.
sounds good. All right, so I'm actually having a little bit of trouble with it because it's a 4-game slate, and I wanted to focus on particular games, and I'm just kind of a little lost because I don't know where I'm going to get pivots. I don't know where I'm going to get ownership differences and things like that. But the first thing is that I really love to know what's going on with Steven Adams. If anybody gets that information, you could just kind of fire that off at will, because that's kind of it's going to determine a lot of what I want to do. Like, for example, like if Steven Adams is playing for some reason, I guess he'll play. But if Steven Adams is playing, what I'm going to do is on FanDuel, I'm probably going to have 3 different centers. I'm going to have Drummond, I'm going to have Towns, and I'm going to have Adams. If Adams does not play, then I'm going to probably only have Drummond and Towns. And then what happens is if Adams doesn't play, then I'm going to probably have to play what's his name, Muscala, and just kind of just change everything around. So that's not to mention the fact that it's a game I want to target in general, that Oklahoma City game. So I really would love to know what's going on with Adams if possible.
Yeah, so yeah, we need to know about Adams. I don't think we have any information. I am operating under the assumption that he is playing at this moment.
Okay.
I think even if he doesn't play, we have some other conversations to get into. Like, do we play Mike Muscala anyway with no Gallinari? It's certainly an interesting thing to think about. What was I drinking last night? That's an interesting question. I was drinking whiskey last night.
Let's talk about one of the optimizer plays that everybody's going to be playing. Okay, yeah. So what do you think? And I don't like playing these like low usage guys, even if they're cheap. What do you think of Darius Bazley?
I think Darius Bazley is firmly in play because I find myself going for more of a stars and scrubsy approach, and okay. I think there are some interesting like value pivots, but like where I'm using guys like Bazley on DraftKings, like I will use other extreme cheapies that will be off the board. So you can see my lineup. Let me get over to my page real quick. You can see I have Bazley. This is in one of my 777s right now. Can you see that one?
Yep.
So the one with the 8 lineups on the one side. And look, I'm going to make a bunch of changes in the last 30 minutes. And we're also going to probably have news on everything. Like, knock on wood. I'm playing Hamidou Diallo with him there. You could look at that as a placeholder. But honestly, like, while you shouldn't play those guys together probably, I actually think that that's what you should do. Because you're not asking for that much from them. That there's a lot of game flow paths where they end up on the court a lot at the same time. I think that's the way that I would look at playing a guy like who's going to be chalky in Bazley. I think Diallo is a pivot, but also can be a friend. You know what I mean? And that's what I've currently got. You know my style Sheets. Like, I like to go after. I either go completely after something where there's people injured and something that means I have to attack the other side of a game. And at the same time, when you get value, I want to have the same paired value in the same tournaments as much as possible. It's just a positive. It just makes sense from a game theory's perspective.
Yeah, because that's what people are going to do. I mean, if people are going to think of which one between Diallo and Bazley, for example, just a disproportionate number of lineups are going to have them both.
So
Yeah,
likewise, in that same lineup, and look, you can say what you will about this lineup. I'm not saying this is the winning lineup or this is a genius lineup or anything. But you've also got the other two guys at the same price in that same lineup, which you have the Davis and the Drummond thing. Now, what will keep Davis's ownership lower than it should be at this price, in addition to the obviously always health concerns and minutes and all that stuff, I think this is a game where you're traveling there, you're playing. So Davis, I think you're gonna have like an under-owned Davis, whereas everybody in the world is gonna play Drummond. So why not play where I want to play Drummond, because I like Drummond too. Let's play them together. So now I'm immediately differentiated from the people who are playing the chalk in this particular lineup.
Yeah, that's the first thing that stood out when you kind of just launched the screens.
Yeah.
Was the Anthony Davis play, because that was literally the last thing I was pondering before you kind of hit me up on the email to invite me. Is the Anthony Davis idea? I don't know if he's on any strict minutes limit or whatever it is, but all I will tell you is this: is that his ownership is going to be very, very low. And if you're looking for lower than it could be, and if you're looking for some kind of ceiling out of nowhere, I mean, this is the type of slate to find it. I mean,
yeah, I mean, and the funny part is, you look at Anthony Davis's average. I would take a 50-point game from him potentially tonight, especially if I have Drummond in that same lineup, because I'm not trying to out pivot Drummond unless then I'd want him to get over 60. But you can win with him with a 50 if Drummond puts up whatever his thing is, because that combination is just going to be a little bit unusual. And it's not like LeBron is going to score 100 that often. I like LeBron, don't get me wrong, but if you think about the ownership game and the way it's going to work out on DK, I think Davis ends up being significantly lower owned. Actually, like, assuming that he plays, is probably like a safer upside tournament-y price, whereas LeBron is going to get to his 55, 60, I think a lot of the time here. Makes sense as a play. The matchup showing up as tough doesn't worry me. What it does make me want to do is run Philly back as much as possible, because we actually have a little bit of an unusual situation for Philly. Obviously, we have no Embiid, which we've had, but we have no Richardson anymore, and I don't think that makes me want to pivot onto any of the chalky guys. Now, guys like Mike Scott, guys like maybe even a James Ennis might end up in my million-person tournament lineups, because I think there's an opportunity here for somebody to make an impact other than the obvious guys. Obviously, Korkmaz would be the logical choice in that case, along with Thibault, but I don't feel great about their upside. So I'm trying to play one of the big guys, and honestly, none of them are going to be as heavily owned as, in my opinion, they should be. I really like Ben Simmons. I'm playing him more on FanDuel than I am on DK, but I do think that playing Simmons, playing Harris, playing Horford, those are all guys I feel like are fairly safe with upside, given that this should be a competitive game, even in a tough matchup, with such condensed usage that we haven't really seen in a tough matchup yet. So we might just see almost everything run through these three guys, or we might see someone else get hot, like a Mike Scott or James Ennis stood out to me because maybe they hit a couple threes, something like that. But that's a spot all of a sudden that becomes interesting to attack. And, the Lakers, these are great, two of the best defensive teams in the NBA, but we are really missing a lot from Philly, and the Lakers, we know where the production is going to come from in a competitive game. The reason why the prices on Anthony Davis, LeBron James aren't higher, and even to some extent, somewhat Ben Simmons was because of Embiid, but LeBron and Anthony Davis because they blow too many teams out. This is not a spot where I am worried about the blowout. I'm not going to play that angle playing in Philly. So I'm going to try and get action in that game, and I'm going to try and run someone back. It's got me not with the maximum on my other 777 lineup because I wanted to get I got LeBron in that. Oh, wait, do I have LeBron in that one now? I did change that one last minute. Okay, well, before I had it there, I had a different one with just making sure. Oh, no, I do have him. No, it was I was trying to get LeBron and Horford in one with Davis and either Harris or Simmons on the other one. I would rather not play LeBron and Simmons together, but I like them together too. I just think that the other ways are the ways that I'm finding the most interesting.
It doesn't matter because that third lineup that you have there, that Garland, Levine, Brown, Young lineup, like that's winning. I mean that lineup is just chock full of just like sharpness because it does the two things that we discussed previously. Like you have both Galloway and Bruce Brown in there, and I know people are going to be trying to figure out which one of those guys to kind of play, and and playing them both, and then I was going to ask you about the Bulls bigs. You know what I mean? And I'm like, boy, you like Trey Young? You like Trey Young? You like Thad Young? Maybe you want to speculate on Felicio, and you got them both in there. And you also have a Simmons James run back. You know what I mean? With Garland. I mean, this is really sharp stuff because like when I was thinking about, okay, I'm going to play Levine. How am I going to do this? You know, and because it's a really weird situation with this game because with these bigs out for Chicago, you know, it creates a really weird situation. The other thing I wanted to ask you about this game is again from the other side of it. I'm getting really inclined to play Tristan Thompson on the Cleveland side.
I love Tristan Thompson. I think it's one of the top tournament plays on the slate.
Okay.
I happen to have an issue right now with my current builds that I will change. I've got Thompson. You can see it in one of my 777s and Jared Allen in the other. Now, ideally, based on everything I was saying, I would like to get those guys in the same lineup if possible, which I think is doable. So I might actually go ahead and do that. But I also sort of like the idea of going for the little mini game stack with Kyrie, Drummond, and Allen with the other guys. So it's you got to sacrifice something one way or the other. I'm not loving my Galloway play so much. I'm probably going to get off of that one after we get off the air. And I think I'm going to be a lot heavier on Ben Simmons. I know I'm already talked about him a little bit, but where I have other Lakers like a LeBron, like an Anthony Davis, I really like that third lineup. I love the Felicio idea. I think that people aren't paying attention to certain things that matter. Like everybody's going to play Thad Young tonight without don't we think that Luke Cornett can outscore him? So I'm going to try and get me a little bit of Luke Cornett, Cristiano Felicio as a pivot and in addition to Thad Young. Because honestly, what's weird about Cleveland is they play like sort of sneaky big. Like you're not going to be like Thad matches up, sure. Felicio matches up, sure. But like, it's not like you're going to be able to put like Chris Dunn on those guys. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they're going to have to not be able to play all their million guards because I want to go to Satoransky. I want to go to where the usage will go. And you see right here, Felicio played 25 minutes in the last game. He played 22 minutes in the game before, which actually, because they had to play big again. Actually, no, they didn't have to play big in that one. I don't know why he played that many minutes. But he's already been trending the right way. That was before Markkanen got hurt. That was the game actually Markkanen did get hurt. So we can think that maybe if the game stays close against Sacramento, what if Felicio was going to get 31 minutes? You know? There is massive upside on those minutes.
If Chicago doesn't put somebody big in there, they're going to get obliterated on the glass in this game. Between Love and Thompson, I mean, Chicago's going to have to play somebody.
I think we're onto it. I think that's the other part of it is that the Chicago-Cleveland game, while it doesn't stand out from a high total point of view, you actually have, you have obviously the injuries in Chicago, which is condensing the usage, and then you have a pretty condensed usage between really like 4.5 guys. It's whether or not Kevin, Thompson gets in foul trouble or Love or Nance gets hot or something like that. But really you're getting like a lot of minutes out of your maximum guys. The only guy you have taken minutes off the bench really is Exum. Garland's going to play 35 minutes. Thompson's going to play 30 plus minutes. Sexton's going to play 35 minutes. Love's going to play 35 minutes. It makes that game very tempting to stack. And I don't care about where Zach LaVine's price. I think we should just not look at his price when he plays. I think that's the smartest way to treat Zach LaVine from a tournament perspective. I think look, obviously if he was 11K, it's a different story. But unless he's 10K, you can always make an argument for his tournament upside at what might be lower ownership than what people think. Now, I prefer Anthony Davis to LaVine. No, wait, let me rephrase that. I prefer that Anthony Davis plays a better position than LaVine does for this particular slate. Although I could argue actually that Power Forge, it's tricky. I have more LaVine now that I look at it on DK, but I actually think between the site, that's why. On FanDuel, I don't have any Anthony Davis, and I have a ton of Zach LaVine.
Hey, let me throw this one thing about guys like Zach LaVine. Okay, we have to go pretty soon, but somebody made the comment. I forget who it was. That guys like Zach LaVine and Book or whatever. The comment was that these are the guys that can create their own usage rates. You know what I mean? Like they could just kind of decide that they want to take over a game because they have the green light, they can do whatever. You want a narrative, and we talk about this kind of jokingly, but the All-Star game is in Chicago this year, and last I checked, he wasn't selected yet, Zach LaVine, and any possibility that he has to show off, I think he's going to take advantage of it. And Cleveland is a really good team to attack with a guy like him. So,
I know we had the injuries in Boston, so it got to overshadow the fact that Kemba was going to go nuts anyway for being not an all-star starter snub. To Trae Young, hilarious. Anybody who thinks Trae Young is better at basketball than Kemba Walker at this moment is out of their mind. But he's better for fantasy, so I guess that's why he's the starter. But anyway, yeah, I love their All-Star game narratives. And you know what it is for LaVine, though, too? Like, they don't really have the other guys to go to, because Carter and Markkanen, while not incredibly high usage, are the other offensive guys you run your plays for. So he really doesn't have anyone to contend with. He could end up becoming, like, LaVine in this role might be like a 10-5 player in this spot. We just really don't know. We haven't really seen him without anybody else since he's become this Zach LaVine.
And again, since we're kind of running out of guys that can take shots from Chicago, maybe it's possible Kobe White in a matchup like this might be able to do something.
Kobe White is well in play. I'm going to real quickly, before we get off of here, read some different ownership percentages that I have across of DraftKings. I'm not going to say every single one, but I will just name sort of roughly where I'm at. You can see actually most of them, I think, on my screen, so I don't think I need to say that many on DK. You can see scrolling down, obviously, I'm loving Garland on both sites. I still think he ends up lower owned than he should be. This is a guy who's going to get you 30 here, and he's got upside of more. I know it looks bad if you look at the game log. Trust me, it's fading his way. He just has missed 500 million shots. He's not going to go 4 for 20 every night. He's just done it the last 2 nights. And he still put up 20 fantasy points. So imagine if he makes half of his shots, the guy's putting up 40. All right, or 35. Anyway, Satoransky has a little bit of an interesting pivot. I've got some Muscala, as you see. I'm still debating between this value. I'd like to get less Thaddeus Young, even though he's obviously a great play, but he's going to be so chalky. I want to get more Cornette. I want to get more Felicio. I want to get more Shea, more Chris Paul. I want to get more Kuzma, believe it or not. I know that's a weird one. I think that he's just got a little bit of upside in this environment if they do try to really focus on LeBron and AD, which teams are starting to figure out. And I really like this Cleveland game more than I've got. I'd like to get more exposure to the Whites, the Osmonds. And then if Towns is going to indeed be overlooked here, I don't think that's really what's going to happen. But I love Cat anytime. He would have put up $1 million if he didn't get in trouble last night, but he's going to be high owned. So I think you're going to see a lot of Drummond Cat lineups. So I found myself pivoting away from him just because of that. But I mean, I love Cat as well tonight. And honestly, it's not like this is an ideal matchup, assuming Steven Adams is in for Cat. So I'm okay with fading a little bit of that obvious double center chalk that people are going to go with.
Yeah, be careful about that take though, because again, people are going to want to play LeBron too. So I don't know if they're going to be able to get all three of those guys with the ownership that you think. I don't know.
I think that they'll reach for the value in places that maybe that's just my guess, but I don't necessarily know for sure. Some of the ownership projections, I'm a little bit like. That's why I'm very into the Shea play today. I really like Shea.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a great, we went from non-Shea guys to Shea guys, but also I love Chris Paul too. I know he's going to be high owned, but you want to try and attack this Minnesota team when you get the chance. Obviously, we didn't get Harden last night. We got Westbrook instead doing it, but somebody's going to explode against this team pretty much every time they play. It's just almost impossible for them not to. And here you have a condensed rotation because you've got a player missing. So what's interesting is it's only a 4-game slate, but I could make a really strong case on a big or a small slate for all of these games as mini stacks. I think if I was looking at this from a 9-game slate perspective, I would probably be a little bit higher on Oklahoma City, Minnesota than anywhere else, just because I feel like the ceilings there are significantly higher.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I guess I have to run.
I got to run as well. Guys, I'm going to answer any quick questions while we get out of here. Sheets, you can go ahead and go whenever you have to go.
Yeah, I want to give that guy love who asked the question. I think you should probably address. Someone asked you about possibly playing Claxton, so I figured I would let you kind of talk about that if you felt like it.
Okay, so wait, what did he say about Claxton?
He was asking if Claxton was a decent off-the-board play.
Yeah, he's the off-the-board, completely off-the-board on DraftKings. I think you can play him as an off-the-board play, absolutely. FD, GPP, Cat, or Drummond. Drummond is going to be actually over there. I think it's going to be pretty close. I like Cat better, given all things being equal, but that's just me. Chris Dunn, I do have some exposure to Chris Dunn, but not nearly as much as as I've had in the past. It's not like an ideal matchup for him. It's just he'll be on the court a lot. Thoughts of fading Kyrie and rolling with CP3? Absolutely, that makes sense. Thanks, guys. Good luck, all. I appreciate everything. Guys are the best. Let's win some money. All right, I'm stopping the stream, guys. Thanks. Cheers. We'll see you soon.